Destiny 2 has become a grindy game with the edge of fate, and a lot of people have been loving it, while others have been criticizing the grind. Let me know what you think about it. Glad here has weighed in with honest take on Destiny 2 armor slash power grind from a huge grinder. I love the idea of the portal system. I think a well organized portal will simplify where to go, but also offer a lot of comparable choices to grind. I agree with that. I'm also fine with a gear grind. I still think the only thing that truly revitalizes this game is a fresh restart. It appears grinding Armor 3.0 is the closest thing we are going to get, at least for now, so glad advocating for the big Destiny 3. With that being said, I don't think either of the things mentioned above are executed properly. There are some marks that hit green, but way too many marks that hit red. Okay, let's hear what he has to say. I got back from a 4 to 5 day vacation, and now I'm just starting to see more folks hit Power 400. In fact, there are some people that are just starting to hit Power 450 here. We can look at the charts here, see if anyone's actually done it yet. We got 3 people tied for world's first max power. No one's hit 450 yet, though. And those 400 level people have been grinding since day 1 DLC launch. Normally, I'd be like, hell yeah, the grind is back. But I feel quite the opposite. Every stream I turn into, they're running the same 2 missions on repeat. It feels like 90% of the portal isn't even being considered, and some of the cooler missions and well-rewarded ones are locked to a one-time playthrough. There just seems to be one thing that's better than everything else. I want to grind, feel rewarded, play things that I love, and feel incentivized. Not grind the same activity for 300 hours plus. I agree with that. It would be nice if they did some updates to the portal. Obviously, they said they're adding dungeons, but we need to make it so that way you're rewarded for playing all the different activities in Destiny 2 equally and power leveling across the board. So that way you feel like, hey, I can log into this game, I can play this activity, that activity, and level up in so many different ways. But you do have those options currently. It's just not nearly as optimal as it is to just play the one singular activity, which Starcrossed or Kel's Fall or Encore, whenever it gets re-enabled. One simple idea is to add more activities to the portal, then rotate a huge bonus loot reward, like 5 extra big power drops between 2 to 3 random activities that rotates after every mission ran. As a result, you'd have players choosing these options more and thus switching up the variety more, and then getting more than 1 or 2 measly drops for an activity that takes some time. That's a good idea. Incentivize players rather than punish players to play the other activities. And right now, it kind of does happen like that in solo ops. They give you more drops every single day, like every 24 hours, they refresh drops on the certain activities. So they kind of, in solo ops, they do a better job of getting you to rotate around, I think, than they do in the Pinnacle ops. Another idea, why do I see no raids or dungeons being grinded? These are true Pinnacle activities? No. I understand they introduced a raid feat system with the new raid. Good. Keep something unique like that associated with the current new raid, and make sure it's worth the time to grind it. But all other raids and dungeons? Come on, man. That's free content. I think all or most raids and dungeons should be a priority source of high tier loot. And like Bungie said, they're going to be, in a couple months, they're going to add dungeons to the portal. They haven't mentioned raids yet, though, which would be nice. I also think that adding a daily rotating raid or dungeon isn't just an idea, and incentivize with higher tier loot. Low tier loot dropping from raids just feels terrible. As it currently stands, I honestly feel little desire to grind this new system. The idea of replacing all of my old gear with this crispy tier 5 loot and stat spikes sounds amazing, but the current process of doing it just makes me want to play other games. I want to grind, but I don't want to hate myself while doing it. I want a seamless transition from activity to activity with variety, choices, and massive loot rewards that make my time feel valued. I want to create my own fun path. Maybe I'll dabble here and there, but if I'm real with myself, I might just wait it out. I only expect the system to be improved upon, so maybe I'll wait until then. Take care, Glad. So that's Glad's opinion on the new system. And I guess to play devil's advocate for a moment, you can technically play a variety of activities and level up. You're not forced to play the same activity over and over again. It's just that people want to optimize their time. They want to get to the maximum power as fast as possible, right? As it stands right now, we're at a few people hitting max power after 2 weeks of playing, all day, every day, just to hit that max power, right? So, this, if you're going to play at a healthy rate, is going to be extended across, take you maybe a month to do the same thing or longer, right? If you actually have like, real life responsibilities, you're going outside. These guys are online chronically all day, every day, playing Destiny 2, and that's how they're able to accomplish these crazy power levels and reach that max power. And it's definitely worth it to grind to that max power because those tier 5 drops, those tier 4 drops are way more powerful than the tier 1's counterparts, in my opinion, but overall, like, you'll be fine with tier 1s, like, if you're just playing the game casually just to have fun. So you shouldn't feel like you absolutely need to have tier 5s. Like, you could definitely do just fine without them. And I do think that the portal is a good decision because what it does is it actually makes it so new players can very quickly jump into the game and get some loot, and they get the exact same loot that the experienced sweaty players get. It's just the experienced sweaty players that grind all the time get a slightly shinier version, and it'll have some minor improvements in terms of like handling and, reload speed on their weapons, but for the most part, you'll be just about as powerful as the other players. So if you want to grind, basically what they did was like, imagine this was the Destiny 2 grind pre-Edge of Fate. So on the left here is the casual players, and on the right here are the hardcore players. They took the grind that was like this. It was a very small window with the Pinnacle drop, and they just expanded it, right? So now casual players can get really good weapons really fast, and hardcore players can get really, really good versions of those weapons, but it will take a long time. So I think everyone technically wins, but the system is definitely not perfect. It needs to be improved upon. It needs some tweaks and adjustments, and I'm sure Bungie is going to do that as quickly as possible because, they seem to be all in and invested in this new portal system. I'm looking forward to the changes. I think that the portal a year from now will look really good, and a lot of people will say this is a pretty genius system because I have actually, I mean, not that Bungie took this idea from me necessarily. I've been giving Bungie this idea for many, many, many years now. I'm super happy to see it executed as well as they did with it, even though it is bugged and flawed. This is a genius system in my mind because, like I said, a new player can log into the game right now and immediately jump into solo ops and start getting tier 1 Bushido armor, which is like literally the best armor. It has like the best armor set bonus on it. You get like a bunch of those immediately. In one day, you could have like a solid set of some of the best armor and some of the better weapons in the game. Like, that's sick. Now, if you want to keep playing, then you can get a slightly shinier version of that. A tier 2 Bushido armor set, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. And it takes a while to get up to that top tier, but the grind is there if you're interested, right? And that's the key to all of that, is creating a grind if people are interested, because Destiny 2 has always been a grindy game, let's be honest. And what we used to do before is that we made it so you have to clear said very difficult activity, which is the Grandmaster, in order to get the Adept weapon. And sometimes people just can't even clear those activities, right? Some people couldn't clear the Grandmaster Corrupted when it first came out. It was tough. And so now we kind of changed that whole system. We flipped it on top of its head, and we said, let's make it more about your time investment. And the more you invest time in Destiny 2, the better the loot gets. And the less time you invest, you'll still have some good stuff, but it won't be quite as powerful. But let me know what you think about the portal down in the comment section below.